flee from utopias. Truth is far better. I notice something that is becoming increasingly widespread, especially among young people, though not only. A way of relating to reality through an utopian filter. In other words, many of us seem determined to imagine, at all costs, an ideal world, a perfect world, and we end up installing this perfect world in our minds, probably designed by someone else for us, and we use it to filter everything we experience, everything that happens, even current events. Now, this approach might seem harmless at first glance. In reality, it is part of the disease that is afflicting us, the same disease I will also be writing about soon in a new book, and which is contributing to the West entering a phase of self-destruction. So let us try to understand this mechanism together. First of all, you know that the word utopia was originally a neologism. Thomas More coined the term utopos, you meaning not, so no place, a place that does not exist. Utopia is, by definition, a place that does not exist. The problem is that in the centuries that followed, we began to make those places exist in our minds, and those mental constructions ended up guiding, in some way, the direction of humanity. Gradually, great ideologies were born. Ideologies are systems of thought, structures of ideas that tend to present themselves in a dogmatic way. I believe this is how it is, therefore it must be so, and everything must revolve around this new dogma. If you think about it, this is very similar to what has historically happened within large religious structures, including Catholicism, in the progressive stratification of dogmas. What must be believed, what is true, what is not. It is essentially the same mechanism that was later adopted by modern ideologies, especially when the Christian world began to enter into crisis, and it has become the dominant way we now approach reality. Take, for example, the dogma of equality. Most of us grow up, especially through education and the constant flow of information around us, convinced that human beings should be equal. This idea is shouted since the French Revolution, égalité, equality, and it has echoed ever since. But if we confront this principle with reality, we discover something striking. Not only are no two human beings identical, but not even two molecules in the entire universe are exactly the same. So this principle of absolute equality simply does not exist. It is not real. Nothing is identical to anything else, because everything is other than itself. And yet we continue to filter reality through it, building political systems, ideologies, entire frameworks of thought on top of something that is not true. Communism is perhaps one of the most striking examples of this dogmatic application, starting from the assumption that everything should be equal, and then constantly bending reality to fit that idea. The result is a distorted perception of reality itself, and therefore of action. We act like this far too often. We create an idea, elevate it as unquestionable, and I like to call this the idolatry of thought. Idolatry, a term taken from the Bible, is the act of turning an image, an idol, into something to be worshipped. But an idea is also an image in the mind. So we take a thought, place it above us, beyond discussion, beyond critique, and we begin to worship it. And we do this constantly, every time we stop questioning a belief we hold. The problem is that this prevents any genuine development of thought that is truly aligned with reality. We end up trapped in it. Of course, modern life does not help. Many people are now enclosed within prisons of concrete and asphalt, cities, and this makes things worse, because nature is ruthless in dismantling ideologies. Put a human being in nature, whatever ideology they carry in their head, and sooner or later they will be forced to confront whether it corresponds to truth or not. Nature is merciless in that sense. For example, we often believe that human beings are fundamentally bad, even the worst of all species. You hear this constantly repeated by intellectuals, and many of us end up thinking, at least a dog is better than a human. But if we step outside ideology and return to reality, into nature itself, we discover that a wolf is not exactly kind. A wolf tears apart a young deer alive, feeding on its insides while it suffers. And it does not do this out of cruelty. It does it because nature operates through cycles of life and death, through opposites. Every being within this reality participates in those cycles. So yes, human beings can be violent. We carry destructive impulses, but we also carry extraordinary beauty, light, even something that could be called angelic. We are a mixture of all of this. However, if we apply an ideological filter, if we convince ourselves that human beings are only evil, then we will no longer see our better side. The filter will only return to us the darkness we already assume is there, and that becomes a self-fulfilling distortion. I often look at the younger generation today, so angry, so constantly antagonistic towards the system, and I wonder, what kind of world do they have in their minds? What kind of utopia has been installed there? And why can they not see that this way of thinking simply does not work? The opposite approach is the ability to adhere to reality as it is, to accept it as it is, and only then, possibly, to act upon it. But I am not even convinced that the cosmos allows itself to be reshaped by us in the way we imagine. The cosmos, in its magnificent and terrible balance, imposes itself upon us more than we impose ourselves upon it. Our role, perhaps, is to submit ourselves to the tragic and comic beauty of truth. And yes, I realize this may sound philosophical, perhaps too philosophical, but when I see crowds shouting in the streets, or people exploding with rage on social media, I hear an alarm bell going off. Anger is a powerful ally. It is an emotion that moves us into action, but very often it comes from the gap between what we think reality should be and what reality actually is. When that gap becomes too large, when expectations shaped by utopias collide with the persistence of reality, anger becomes chronic, unresolved, because we will never build a better world in the absolute sense. What does better even mean? Better compared to what? Measured by which standard? We should desire a world that is good, beautiful, just, not better in some abstract, unreachable sense. Otherwise, we remain trapped in permanent revolution, permanent dissatisfaction, permanent conflict. And so we end up with generations always shouting, always protesting, often without even understanding what they are truly fighting against. At the root of this is precisely this: utopias, places that do not exist. But do not confuse utopia with dreaming. Dreaming is something wonderful. It is our ability to detach from reality and reshape it imaginatively, to create another world in our minds while knowing it is different from reality. Dreaming is one of the most beautiful human capacities we have. We must never stop dreaming. But utopia is different. Utopia is a rational construction of the mind that pretends to be reality. And the mind, however brilliant it thinks it is always fallible. In a sense, it is not even the most reliable instrument we possess. We know that if we ingest something poisonous, the stomach rejects it. But when we ingest a harmful thought, do we reject it? No. We often elaborate it further, reinforce it, build entire systems on top of it. So the brain becomes an organ that can trap us rather than save us. And many of these utopian systems are purely rational constructs, disconnected from emotional depth, insisting that the world must be arranged in a certain way, equal, uniform, controlled. But life is not like that. Even Orwell understood this brilliantly when he wrote that all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. That is the natural outcome of ideologies that refuse to face reality. So the invitation is simple. Step outside the cages of the mind. Step outside utopian enclosures that imprison civilization. Return to reality. Truth is what saves us. It is the compass that can guide us out of the swamp in which the contemporary West seems to have sunk. Each of us has the capacity to perceive that direction, if we are willing to listen to it. Perhaps I have been very philosophical in this video. I have not given news or concrete examples, but I felt the need to say this, to describe what I see, what I feel. It may be right or wrong, agreeable or not, but it is what I see, especially when perception and emotion align and produce something that feels authentic. And I encourage you to follow that inner alignment too, even if it produces something that reaches fewer people than usual, but is genuinely true to what you needed to express. Enough with utopias. Let us tear down these idols, these golden calves, often not even golden anymore, and instead pursue truth with greater force and clarity. Truth escapes the mind. It escapes pure rationality, but it exists, it pulses, and it is what allows us to remain authentic to ourselves. I will stop here. Thank you as always. If you wish, subscribe, turn on notifications. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you very soon.